Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Entertainment Expansion. We are your hosts, Tyler Callahan and Mike Ferrante. Mike, how are you doing this week?
Well, Tyler, I'm surprisingly chilling despite everything that's going on right now and what we're about to talk about today.
I guess. First recording of 2021, we're talking about one of the last movies that came out right at the end of 2020. What a year for movies that was. And we got the next DC movie. Wonder Woman 1984. This was a year where, if you don't count the New Mutants, there was no Marvel movie at all this year for the first time in 10 years. But DC delivered with two. Obviously, if you want to hear our thoughts about Bird of Prey, it's on the channel. Just go back to that. But yeah, Wonder Woman. Before we start, full spoilers throughout the episode. That's the only way we can talk about this one. And it's a movie set in 1984. And that's all I have to say about it. Mike, what do you think?
Well, if we're talking about a story, this is not the greatest. They've decided.
I point out how this is a movie set in 1984, and there's a lack of pop music. There's a lack of anything resembling 80 besides a bright color palette. Sorry, I just bugged the shit out of me.
Bright color palette and some pilot pants.
Yeah. Everyone parachutes these days, in the 80s. That just stopped in the 90s.
Yeah, thank God. But yeah, if we're going to talk about this movie, unfortunately, there's going to be some downsides to it. And don't get me wrong, out of the two of us, I am the bigger proponent for Wonder Woman. Would you agree with that, Tyler? Especially the first movie.
Yeah, I thought the first one was just okay and is an average superhero movie. So
cheesy at times, but this movie was like, hey, we were a little cheesy in the last one. Let's quadruple the amount of cheese. We decided to throw in this.
This one made me think, wow, the first one really was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really puts it into perspective. We start out with Diana again as a youngling before Master Skywalker came. And, well, here's my confusion, right? So the first one set it up that her mom didn't want her to train when she was young, and she wasn't really training until she was in her late teens. That's what the first movie made it seem like, right, Tyler?
Yeah, kind of. But, 8 to 10-year-old Diana can clearly participate in the Olympics.
Yeah, and her mom was completely okay with that. Her, shooting arrows, spears, diving,
horse riding. Yeah.
But that's not training. She just did that off of pure dumb luck because her mom didn't want her training at all. But that went out the window. That's a continuity error that I kind of picked up on and wasn't the most fond of.
Let's be honest, the scene's only there so they can tease, we got the original actors from the first movie with their mascara, and it's flashback, so the character you like that died, well, she's back, but it's only for one scene.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think another big issue I have in this movie is the main antagonist. And I'm not talking about the Mandalorian. I'm not talking about him.
Well, you better not, because I was going to say, he's one of the bright spots of this movie.
Yeah, no, he was good.
For what he was given, he knocked it out of the park.
He did. But my issue is the villain being a stone, a rock, if you will. Not Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who will be the villain of, Shazam in the near future, God willing. But a rock, a literal wishing rock, a goddamn Irish Blarney stone is the goddamn villain of this movie.
I wanted to like the stone. I had quite a few issues with the stone. First off, I had no problem. I know you had a bit of an issue with Pedro Pascal becoming the stone, right? I thought that was interesting until the end where they just threw all the rules out the window. Because I like the fact that he had to meet you, he had to shake his hand, he had to get you to say you wish for it to happen. But by the end, it's like, the TV's next to you, fuck it.
Yeah, it went from needing physical contact to just contact in general. Like, he could have been doing it from a goddamn radio station.
Yeah, because all these particles, whatever, this is a superhero movie, not a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it definitely didn't need to do that.
My other issue with Stone, though, it's a small one, but Wonder Woman is a god, right? Am I wrong in thinking this?
She's not really a full-blown god.
She's connected to gods, right? She's our gateway to the gods.
And technically, she's a child of a god.
Yeah, so my issue is the first one I thought was, as much as people kind of complain about the fight with Ares, I liked how, at least with Wonder Woman's adventures, we can see God, stuff that we can't see with, say, Batman, for example. And she talks about, oh, this stone is created from this God. We see no flashbacks or anything with this God.
Yeah,
Something that could be completely interesting. What do we get? We get Cheetah.
a really good CGI cheetah though.
Oh yeah, to spend all the money on the dark, night scenes to cut down on the budget. Oh, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get into that. So originally there was supposed to be, it's like a monkey paw type of deal. You wish for, but if your wish is too vague, you kind of get pimp smacked with the backhand of that wish. Like if you're like, oh, I wish I had $1 million, and all of a sudden you had $1 million, but you were inside of a bank vault. You know what I mean?
See, the coffee guy was right. He asked for some simple, and his only issue was it was too hot.
Yep.
That's it.
And like that made sense, and it wasn't forced either.
No,
You
how
know?
they introduced Stone with the coffee guy was great.
Yeah, and even with, because in the beginning it makes sense, like it can't manifest anything from out of nowhere, but then at the end of the movie it manifests, everything out of thin air.
Yeah.
Which leads me into my next point. This Chris Pine guy, who is not Chris Pine, is essentially date raped.
Yeah. Almost murdered if he died in Egypt.
Yep.
Don't know what the family would hear about that because again, it's the '80s. It's not the internet, so I don't know how the fuck they're gonna hear about that. I think what makes this worse, besides the fact that besides a couple of lines, throwaway lines, both Chris Pine, Steve Trevor, and Wonder Woman are okay with this.
Yeah, like it's not weird at all.
I think another issue is they make it a point a little bit of women empowerment on the Cheetah side when she starts to get her powers and more strength. And there's a guy trying to sexually assault her. She fights back. That's cool. Then that makes the Wonder Woman Chris Pine situation, the Steve Trevor situation, so much worse. Because oh, that's okay, but taking over a body, having sex with the body is that's also okay.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, Patty Jenkins, you're a woman. You would think you would see the issue with this.
Well, because then you kind of have to look at it's also a double standard. You know what I mean?
It's a double standard, but you would think. I assume she's dealt with sexist men before. You would think this, if in the reverse situation, would this be okay? And it wouldn't be.
Technically, no. I mean, I don't think this guy would really complain. To be honest with you,
I know, but let's say Steve Trevor's the main character, gets Gal Gadot's mind back, spirit back, in a random woman's body, has sex with her. You don't think women are going to be upset online? Oh, he just used her.
Yeah,
that's going to happen, and that's a fair point. I'm not saying that can't happen, but the flip side is also messed up.
Yeah,
and a lot of people, I've noticed a lot of people complain about this online. So, which is a shame because I think it took away from what I thought was a great performance from Chris Pine. I thought him coming back was completely fine with the Wishing Stone. It's just how he was brought back was distracting.
Yeah, it could have been executed a little better, especially since they were going to throw everything out the window later on.
Yeah.
It seemed like it could have been completely unavoidable. But I do have to say, it's Kristen Wiig, right?
Yes, it is.
Her performance was pretty damn good. And her initial character growth was pretty good, too. I think the end is kind of where it fell off. But because the growth of her character in the beginning was, it made a lot of sense. And it all kind of worked well.
It does. I'm just slightly annoyed by she takes the glasses off and then she's like, oh, I'm 10 times hotter. Are we really doing that stereotype?
I mean, yeah, look at it that way. I think that was more of a thing on how her vision improved.
No, I know that's how they wrote the scene, but it's after that, a lot more guys are interested in her. It's come on.
Well, I think it's because she started changing the way she dressed. She, did makeup.
But I mean, besides that nitpick, and
it's also how she carried herself too, because
it's true.
It's more of a personality thing. People are attracted to people with confidence and self-confidence.
I mean, I think we can all agree that for the most part, all the acting was good.
Yeah,
acting's not an issue with this movie.
I think DC really needs to get on the phone with Tom Cruise though, because all of the running scenes look god awful.
I mean, going back to the old days of just her on a green screen, we got the treadmill running.
Yeah, that's just crazy. But the running looked terrible.
Do you think that's because Patty Jenkins has mentioned she wanted to make a lighter movie? Don't know how this is much a light, very light, but She wanted to make a lighter movie in the vein of the original Superman movies. So, do you think she was trying to copy a
Ye-
bit of an old style too?
Yeah, when you put it that way, I can I can actually see it better because I was expecting a movie, a brighter version of what we got with Wonder Woman, where the fight scenes were amazing,
I'm
the
also expecting
story
if you
was
pay,
great.
$200 million better running than the
Yeah,
Flash in Justice League.
yeah. Um, but if she was trying to like mimic the classic Wonder Woman and Superman, which definitely was a thing, I believe, she definitely did it. But that doesn't mean it's good. Or this isn't a Lincoln commercial that sometimes you
Yeah.
got to go back before you can go forward.
But that's the issue. It was like, if she wanted to do that, that's fine. But the only reason I know about that is from an interview. Most people watching this haven't read interviews about the movie, so they don't fucking know. They just see terrible running.
Because
So
like I could see, I think going back in a story sense or how a character acts makes sense, but you wouldn't want to go back to how certain things were filmed,
yeah,
especially with the technology we have and ample amount of resources to perform the task.
no, agreed. I mean, and another thing is, yeah, this movie has been delayed how many times? Now I understand it's not like they could film over the summer the entire movie again. You had the pandemic, but you're telling me you couldn't do a couple quick scenes to improve a couple shots? Like, assuming this movie was done months ago, like for the June original release date, this is fine. No one looked at it and questioned it.
Yeah,
I
I don't know.
think another issue with this movie is the the pacing of the movie. This is a 2.5 hour movie that could have easily been 2 hours, just under 2 hours. And for the 2.5 hour movie you got, there was what, three action scenes?
Yeah,
Now I'm not a stickler. I have no problem with a slower superhero movie if you're going to get into a character. Dark Knight Rises is something I would say it's like this, right? You go into the heart of Bruce Wayne. What makes Bruce Wayne? What makes Batman? He doesn't show up till like almost halfway through the movie as
yeah.
Batman, which is
Or
fine.
more recent Man of Steel, because
Man
there was
of,
only what two fights in Man of Steel.
yeah, Man of Steel again, almost two
Well,
and a half
three.
hours long. Yeah, I think there was three
Yeah, because there was the fight in the beginning. There was the first fight with Zod and
in
them,
the
and then
small town, yeah, Smallville.
the final fight.
But take Man of Steel for example. I never thought that movie was lacking in action.
No, because the pacing worked.
Mm-hmm.
They brought you in with a fight. They exposited another fight. Tell the rest. Tell the rest of the story to wrap it up, and then the final fight.
But here it's like, okay, if you're gonna have less action but go deep into the character, great. They didn't go deep into the character of Wonder Woman at all.
No,
Like, she literally has no character development in this movie. Or I'm sorry, the character development is I can finally let Steve Trevor go after 60 years.
yep. Until Batman brings it back up again, and I
And
have
then
to
she
slam
pissed.
it to the ground.
Yeah. Which, by the way, not that empowering of a character if you're saying like, oh, this woman was, hooked on a guy for 60 years, couldn't do anything with her life. I understand she can live on a couple hundred years, but really? I don't know. I feel it would have been written better if she tried a few other relationships and it just didn't work out like Steve did.
Yeah.
But they really made it seem like Steve was the only one. I mean, we only knew each other for like 2 weeks, but he was the one.
Yep. It just had that connection, man. It was the first man she ever met.
Mm-hmm. First man, they had that special connection. They bonded after, one or two nights, and then boom, he just died in a plane,
Nope. To save
Uh,
the day so she could save the world.
Also, how the hell can he fly an 80s jet?
Yeah, the technology is
Um,
completely different from World War One.
Also, it's completely fueled in the Smithsonian Museum. They just keep the jets fueled. It's a
Yeah.
museum.
Well, it makes sense. You never know when you need a fully functioning fighter jet.
Yeah, I guess. Sorry, I'm just naming off issues with this movie.
You know what the making the jet invisible thing kind of reminded me of?
What?
How in the Justice League when Superman just like blew cold air and like froze stuff like out of nowhere. It was kind of like that. Like we all knew Wonder Woman could do it, but how they introduced it in the movie was just kind of like fuck you. You know he can do it. Get over
Mhm.
it. We're not going to tell you how he learned he can do it. He can do it. Just fuck off.
Also, couldn't she I think this just came in my head, but maybe for the final when she's trying to get the rope around Lord's leg, and she can't.
Yeah,
I thought
until she
maybe,
can.
yeah, I think because that was I don't
Because
know how that worked.
that was also like fuck you about that too. It's like, oh yeah, fuck you, she did it.
But,
We're not gonna show you she did it, but she somehow did it.
what if instead of that bullshit to trick him, she tries to fight him, and then secretly gets the whip, makes it invisible, and wraps it around because he can just blow it away when he sees it, and he doesn't know until it's too late. That way, you use the power for other than look, they're just invisible.
Well, then she'll never find her fucking whip again, bro.
Well, I assume she's holding on to one side of it, but
Well,
yeah, look, get ready, introduce her power, and then never use it again.
yeah, I mean, it's just.
Not used in a finale, not used in Justice League. Okay.
Well, also, once again, you know what we didn't see? The fucking Kamehameha blast of her goddamn clanging wrist gauntlets together. We didn't see that used again. I feel like that could have been pretty useful.
I mean, she tried to use it in the White House, but Cheetah was like, "Yeah, fuck that."
Yeah, once again, we see her get stopped doing it. It's like, you know what? I'm just never gonna do this again. Fuck. This I got stopped again. Try to do it on Superman, get stopped. She's like, fuck it. I try this every like 80 years and it just never works out. So I'm just gonna stop doing it.
Her new armor, completely useless. It was clearly just for the promo shots. That armor would have been 10 times better since clearly Cheetah can rip off separate pieces. If she could have like spin around and like those pieces fly off as like knives.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, because again, she learned to fly in this movie, so she doesn't need the wings.
Yeah, but I think the armor was fine, to be honest with you, because it's armor. Armor breaks. I mean,
but again, it goes into the fact that it doesn't make sense. She had her powers then at that point. If she used the armor in Egypt because she was weak, it would make sense.
Yeah, because she was more covered. So
yeah, I mean, they showed her fully healing when she was running away from Steve. It's like, okay, cool. So you're indestructible again. You don't need this armor. Just
when did she become indestructible again?
No, wait, what?
You remember in the first movie they made a big deal that like she really couldn't be shot.
Oh yeah, like, didn't they have the whole scene with her walking across no man's land?
Yeah, but she never got shot once.
Mm-hmm.
Never got shot once because she had the shield, and even in other scenes she doesn't get shot because she uses the gauntlets to deflect it. Now all of a sudden she's bulletproof. In Justice League she wasn't bulletproof. She was using the gauntlets to fend it off, and she somehow gained the speed of the Flash. But regardless, this movie somehow they made her losing powers and getting shot be a thing. Like technically she was never bulletproof to begin with.
Yeah, it's very inconsistent also, I noticed, with how she lost her powers. Which annoys me about The Wiz, because
that's such a random thing. Well, you know, you'll get him back, but you know what? The magic 8-ball on Rowan says you're losing your powers, so
I feel it should kind of be like an all or nothing, not like, oh, I'm slowly losing my power. Like, no, Steve Trevor's been back. All right, so I don't just completely crap on the movie. I think one of the best scenes in the movie is when they say goodbye again, because honestly, for half the movie, Steve Trevor is the only one talking sense.
Yeah.
Which I do like about his character. So their goodbye, him saying, I'm already gone and all that. I thought that was great. But again, that's like a 2-minute scene in a 2.5-hour movie.
I like the post-credit scene. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a nice nod.
Because it also from in the beginning of the movie, Diana said she dug up the armor and she could never find any existence of that
other person. Yeah.
And then they made the original Wonder Woman that person. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice nod to her. So yeah, let's talk future Wonder Woman, because the main difference between this movie from the first one is Patty Jenkins wrote this script.
Yeah.
With Jeff Johns, who apparently can only write comics and not a screenplay to save his life. Warner Brothers has already confirmed a third movie with her directing again, and at least she'll be writing the script. Don't know if they'll add anyone else. The only thing we know is it's set in modern day. What do you think they can do to improve the movies?
Take it back to what works. Follow more of a format of the first Wonder Woman and make a story that is linear and tells a concise story with character growth and makes you. And they can't go back to the past. They can't.
No, I mean, they said it's set in modern day. So
because there's no stakes in the past. We already seen Justice League. We know she's alive. So there's like it's zero stakes at all.
Sure.
the origin story about Wonder Woman, how she meets man, that I understand. That makes sense. Even though you know that she's going to somehow come out victorious, they could still tell a good story along the way. So yeah, I'd say modern day, and I don't know. There's got to be a decent villain. I know Cheetah's Wonder Woman's big villain, but obviously that CGI really didn't work out.
I would say
So I
the
don't.
two biggest things for me is Patty Jenkins got to get off the script. She got to get off. Get in professional scriptwriter. It definitely feels like compared to the first one, she had more free reign on this movie, which, hey, I'm all for,
Yeah,
creators having the power. It just didn't work.
that's correct. It
Um,
was a little bit too much.
so I would say get her off, have her direct. I think she's a good director. It's not an issue. And I would say the one thing I want from a Wonder Woman movie is honestly character development. Like something. Like, as much as people may not like Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, there was a lot of fucking character development with Superman as he
Yeah,
dealt with humans.
there was.
Um,
Because it told, once again, it built off the original story. The end of the first movie was, I don't know if humans are ready for me yet.
Yeah.
And then he's going through, the collateral of him having to expose himself to save the world. And now the world is still new with, finding out that aliens do exist and one of them's been living on our planet. He does this crazy stuff.
That's what I mean. Like, there's growth there. There's even some growth for Batman from Batman v Superman to Justice League, as he gains a little bit of a heart. But with Wonder Woman,
I think that growth was a little bit too much.
But like for Batman, for Wonder Woman 1 to 2, besides I finally let Steve Trevor go, she learned nothing.
That's right.
She literally learned nothing. The one new friend she got, as far as we know, in the past 40 years, has turned into an antagonist. It's like I don't know. Like I do want with the Wonder Woman movies to champion like strong female superheroes. I want that, but you gotta have the development. And if I'm sitting down for 2.5 hour movie and I'm not getting action, I better get some good drama, and I didn't get that shit.
Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts on 1984?
No, I don't think I do.
All right.
Unfortunately, I'm just gonna jump right ahead to this. This isn't a movie you really have to see.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It's not worth a watch.
It's definitely a letdown, I'd have to say.
Yep. My recommendation is, since you don't need this for the new version of Justice League, is wait 6 months, watch the good scenes on YouTube, and save yourself the money.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing you need to know is Steve Trevor came back, died again, and Cheetah's the thing now in the DC universe.
I wouldn't mind seeing, Kristen Wiig return as Cheetah, but there would
I
have
wouldn't
to
mind
be
either.
some good CGI development there.
They didn't really make it clear, though. She didn't renounce her wish, so can she turn on the fur? Can she turn off the fur? Got questions about that.
It's a good point. How did she not die?
Well, I understand. I just assume because Apex Predator, she gained a lot of strength, fine. But then, like, she's shown a human afterwards. What? She didn't say she renounced her wish, so what's up? Like, they left that. I mean, also, it kind of seemed like they let Pedro Pascal's character just get off the hook.
Yeah, we don't
after
really
all the shit he did.
Yeah, we don't really know what's going on with him. Like, Diana was just kind of like, all right, well, everything's back to normal. That's fine now.
Mm-hmm. I found my son in the woods. I'm good now. Another issue. Yeah, definitely. I didn't expect Birds of Prey to be the highlight of DC this year. It's not that high of a bar, but
shit, there was even character growth in that movie.
There was character growth in that movie for multiple characters too.
Yeah, don't forget that. And they had some good action scenes in that.
They had more action. They had more action in that movie than this movie.
And there's a better story if you really think about it.
And really a better villain.
Yeah.
Well, if you do need to watch a DC movie this year, Birds of Prey is definitely it.
Recommendation from me.
Yeah. We can only hope 2021 is a stronger year for DC, but we can only hope.
I really hope so. But we'll see. I mean, we got the Snyder Cut. Will this ease all of our tensions and make us happy? Or are we going to be even more disappointed now that the Snyder Cut has been officially overhyped up? So everyone's got high expectations for it. We'll find out soon. But let us know what you guys are thinking. Did you watch Wonder Woman 84? What'd you think of it? Are you planning to watch it? What do you think about the future of the DC universe? As always, feel free to let us know at entertainmentexpansion@outlook.com. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We got a whole bunch of content on YouTube. Check us out. As always, thanks for listening.